post-workout story time. It's 5:03 a.m. And the other day my daughter was asking me to tell her some stories of the long, long ago. So stories from 20-ish years ago that, is very, very, very far removed from me. So this one, I was in my second year of teaching. Yeah. And I had these enormous classes. I had these two gigantic classes of general music for high school students, 9th through 12th graders, who, some of them were just very average students, and then some were definitely not. They were kids that needed a class they could probably pass. For some of them, they needed a fine arts credit. Okay. For some of them, they were just abiding the time until they could quit school. So anyway, I had 2 class periods of it. Each class had 45 students, which I'm pretty sure has some legal illegalness. They told me when I questioned this that coaches and band directors and the like can have up to 70 or 75 students for one teacher, but obviously that is not meant for a typical classroom situation with desks and books and graded papers and things like that. That is not what that is meant for. That is meant for, me with the large performing group who I've, known for 5 or 6 years, and I have a very established relationship with their parents. We've had a working relationship and mutual respect for each other for a long time. It is not meant for this. So anyway, they crammed all these kids into 2 class periods because they wanted me to be able to go to the middle school to assist with those classes earlier, because originally it was split into 3 classes. Anyway, it was loads of fun for everyone. So I'm bebopping along in a classroom with over 45 desks in it, because I remember there were lots and lots of empty ones. I had no books, I had no computers, I had no sound system. I didn't even have like a marker board. There was a chalkboard in the room that I tried to use once or twice, and you could barely even make the chalk work. It was awful. So anyway, we went through a lot of things together, and I did a lot of learning. And honestly, for my second year teaching, that should have been a disaster. Any of the people that I've worked with who were that young, if I had said, okay, we're going to put you in this situation, I would just be expecting massive failure. I mean, to the point of violence. But just the fact that these kids were kind of doing the thing is a freaking miracle. Anyway, even back then in like 2007, we were having issues with cell phones. So this one young lady, who was not her best student, had her cell phone out on her desk. And she wasn't just laying there, like she was actively doing something. I'm like, oh my gosh, you gotta put that up. I didn't even say like, give me that phone, go turn that into the office, give that, I was kind of de-escalating about it, because I knew this kid was kind of not afraid to back at you. So I was like, oh my gosh, you've got to put that up. And she said, I'm just texting my mama. And I'm like, I don't care if you're texting Santa Claus, you got to put it up. And I don't remember if she replied or not, but she didn't, and continued texting or whatever. So I'm like, no, we're not doing this. You've got to, no. If you're not going to put it up, you're going to have to go to the principals and talk to them about it. I mean, what else do you want me to do? So of course, this blessed room I was in didn't have an intercom or a call button or anything. So I had to take a student and physically send him to the office and say, tell them that I need some assistance right now. What if a kid had a medical emergency right then, Anyway, the child has to physically walk to the office to go fetch someone. The principal comes to the doorway and says, girl, come on. So she picks up her stuff and walks out. So I'm like, dang, I wish this hadn't ended this way. Is there something I could have done? I'm not teaching, and then they leave. The next class comes in, and during this time, I hear sirens. It sounded like in the front. I'm like, wonder what that is. Somebody had a wreck or something. We heard sirens constantly. There's also an airport nearby, so it was all the time or something. So whatever, I didn't think much of it. I go to the office after those 2 classes are done, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I had to have you come get that kid. She just would not do anything. She wouldn't put it up. She wouldn't give it to me. She wouldn't go anywhere. She was just, and he didn't say anything, but he took her mugshot and threw it on the desk and said, you're not going to have to worry about her anymore. And I said, what happened? So apparently when she walked up to the office, she started throwing a fit. And then her mama, who she was texting, who was not her mama, or even if she had been, storms into the office, pushes past all the staff, won't sign in, won't tell anybody who she is or what she wants, pushes past everyone, storms back there with her. They both get arrested for acting like that. And there was some sort of discussion about she forgot her medicine that morning, and I don't know, but she was also 19. And I think this was in the fall. So, if you're 19 and you are still in school, there's some very legit academic reasons that can happen. But I think her reason was she had missed so much or failed so many times or whatever combination of that, and she was just trying to get done with her schooling, but she lost that opportunity. So I don't know what the rules are now. At one point I was told that if you continued to go to school after you're 18 years old, unless there was some sort of like IEP in your situation, maybe 504, they would just charge you money, like the school district. Now this was 20 years ago. I don't know if that's ever still a thing or not, but man, that was a crazy day. I'll tell you, the 90 kids I had in those 2 classes, by the end of the year, there was probably a total of 60, because so many of them either got arrested and kicked out, dropped out. There was some of them who were out of district, and they just sort of pretended not to notice until they got in big trouble. And then they were like, you know what? You don't even live here. Bye. So bless them. I hope they're all in as good of a place as they can be. I did have a foreign exchange student from Korea, and she was very sweet, and I tried so hard to learn to pronounce her name, and I did okay, but she made it clear that she really appreciated that, and she paid such good attention, and she really wanted to be a good student, and that was a really highlight of that. I still have the 2 little wooden ducks that she gave me sitting on my desk from 20 years ago.